Have you done everything right for your digestion? Researched all the things, cut out all the foods, tracked every symptom, and yet you still feel stuck? If that's you, you're not broken. You're not failing. You're just stuck in the wrong level of wisdom. So today I want to talk about 4 levels of wisdom we all move through on our healing journey, and why where your focus lives determines the fruit you see. So we're going to talk about digestion, gallbladders, nervous system, scripture, and yes, how to actually apply what you know without obsessing over illness. So stay to the end where I will give you 3 wisdom-based tips to apply today, and grab your herbal tea and let's dive in.
Gallbladder gone. Now what? Let's heal from the inside out.
So part 1 is ignorance. This is where we all start. So ignorance is not an insult. It's simply not knowing yet. At this stage, you might say things like, I thought bloating was normal. I didn't know the gallbladder mattered. Or something like, I assumed fatigue was just part of aging. Or I didn't realize digestion and stress were connected. I know that's where I started. So historically, people didn't have the luxury of information. No enzyme supplements, no microbiome studies, no Google, no ChatGPT. But interestingly, many cultures still practiced wisdom. They practiced eating slowly, they practiced warm meals, resting after eating, seasonal foods. Even without modern science, they honored the body. So ignorance ends the moment awareness enters. And that's not a failure. That's a graduation. All right, step 2 to this is knowledge. So step 1 is ignorance. We just didn't know what we didn't know. Now step 2 is knowledge. So this is where we start to accumulate information. And this is where most people live. Knowledge says things like the gallbladder stores bile. Bile emulsifies fats, and things like, without it, digestion can feel chaotic. Low bile affects hormone, stool, skin, and energy. You see how it's just very fact-based. And suddenly, you start to listen to a lot of podcasts, watch videos, reels, you're reading studies, you're learning about SIBO and leaky gut and hormones and bile salts and enzymes, and you're just gathering this information. And what's interesting about this stage is that it feels productive. You're doing something, but there's the trap. Okay, knowledge without direction creates obsession. So you may notice things like you talk about symptoms constantly. You scan your body all day. I know I did. It was kind of always, what's wrong, what's wrong, what's wrong. You identify as someone with digestive issues, right? That's what your identity becomes. Your focus narrows down to that illness. You've almost got it. You almost understand it. And again, I'm not saying this is necessarily a bad thing, because for me, it saved my life, right? So I kept going and trying to get help and didn't feel like I was getting any answers. So I did become obsessive. I had to learn. So these are steps we have to go through. I was told in the ignorance phase that constipation, going to the bathroom, my gastroenterologist literally said, going to the bathroom 1 time a week was fine. I knew in my heart it wasn't. I wasn't only going to the bathroom once a week, but he said, oh yeah, we'll start to worry when you do have a bowel movement less than once a week. And I thought, I am in the wrong office. So then we move to this knowledge phase where we just start gathering, we're studying, we're bringing this information. And again, this is where we get active, but we're not free, right? It's running around doing little busy work that isn't really beneficial yet. All right, so then we move into stage 3. And this is understanding. So we start to assimilate this information. And understanding is when the dots start to connect. Things start to go, oh, my digestion worsens when I eat when I'm stressed. Okay, hydration timing actually affects the bile flow. I can feel it. My nervous system is driving my gut. I can feel it. So we're starting to take that knowledge and it's kind of moving. a little bit into our body. So here's the science. Digestion happens best in the parasympathetic nervous system, also known as rest and digest. So we know this. So if we're eating while we're rushing around and while we're scrolling, while we're standing, my husband will eat standing, and there's an old Ayurvedic saying that says, if you eat while you stand, death looks over your shoulder. And so I'll tell him that we can't be worrying. So your body literally cannot digest well with or without a gallbladder if you're in this wrong situation, right? But there's a subtle danger at this stage 3, and that's that you become very good at understanding illness. So in the last stage, we're running around and we feel the busyness like we're actually doing something, but we're not actually doing something. But in this stage is that we start to almost focus too much. So we may say things like, I'm focusing on healing, but really your attention is still locked on to symptoms, to lab numbers, foods to avoid, what's wrong. And this is so important to know. And I talk about this in phase 2 of my program because we must retrain the brain. And it took me a long time to figure that out. Like I got stuck in this loop. Like I said, the loop saved my life. But I was stuck in there. I was still looking for what was wrong when there was nothing wrong. But even if there is something going on, the scriptures warn us about this. So in Philippians 4:8, it says, whatever is true, noble, right, pure, lovely, admirable, if there's anything excellent or praiseworthy, think on these things. Now, Paul wasn't saying to ignore your reality. He said, choose your focus. So what we focus on multiplies. We know this. And so what you attend to strengthens. So in this phase, we're inadvertently attending to illness. We're focusing on the what's going wrong. So if your focus is on illness, you'll see the fruits of illness. If your focus is on healing your nervous system and digestion, then you respond differently. So this is important that it says, there's a scripture that says, ask and ye shall receive. If we're asking and we're focusing on illness all the time, that's what inadvertently we receive. But if we shift that focus, and it's so subtle and you find yourself going back, like that is what I'm doing. And then you start to notice like, why are you watching things if you're not looking for solutions to the problem? What if you started watching them to just learn and grow and apply without that underlying of not enough, of wrong, of broken? So just a quick note before we get to the last and most important step, wisdom. It's just a reminder that this podcast is for education, encouragement, and wisdom, not medical advice or diagnoses. And every body and healing journey is unique, especially when it comes to digestion. So if you want help understanding your specific digestive imbalance and what healing support looks like for you, I've linked a simple next step in the show notes. Click the link, and that's where you can go to get deeper and get personalized guidance. All right. So part 4 that we move into wisdom. This is the application of information. So wisdom is embodied truth. So wisdom says things like, I know enough, now I live it. I don't need more data, I need more alignment. I apply healing, not fear. And so this is something I work with when clients come in because they're stuck in they're always, every single client, when you come in, I have so much information and practical application in there, but their mind still goes and it's still trying to search. And we have to get out of that mode and just settle into trust and being, right? And so that's going to be so important to this process. Wisdom was never meant to be walked alone, though. And this is why I opened this container. This is where healing accelerates. So a simple wisdom reset for digestion, especially if you don't have a gallbladder, is now I'm going to give you steps. And so you can sit here and you can just accumulate them, or you can really integrate them and embody them. And I'll tell you why. And these are some of the most powerful tips. And it's in the simplicity that people get lost. Like, oh, I tried that, or that wouldn't work, or they're not understanding. But it's in these that hidden wisdom is all over the place. So the first one is, to digest, you need to sit down and breathe before the first bite. Pray or express gratitude, and this signals safety and bile flow and it helps bile flow and helps you feel safe. So that's the first thing we want to do. The second thing we want to do is hydrate between meals. We don't want to be chugging water or especially soda. That neutralizes the stomach acid. So we want to be drinking between meals, and because this preserves the stomach acid and supports that bile being signaled. The third thing is to eat to 80% full. So ancient wisdom from Japan to Ayurveda taught us this. Overeating overwhelms. So it's our bile flow starts to struggle, our enzyme, we don't have enough enzymes. So it's, just pulling back, stepping, being grateful, drinking between meals, chewing. This is going to be very important. Then the fourth one is focus on healing, not the disease. So instead of what's wrong with me, I can't find out what's wrong, there's something wrong, I don't feel good, all of these things, we ask the question, what's going to support my digestion today? That's wisdom. So when we can move it and bring it all together, this is where the power is. So we know that ignorance leads to knowledge, that knowledge leads to understanding, and that understanding leads to wisdom. So we don't want to get stuck in knowledge or even understanding. We want to move into wisdom. So many people get stuck in the middle and wonder why healing feels exhausting. So healing is not achieved by hyper-focusing on illness or even shaming and guilting and pushing and striving. Healing comes through aligned application and peaceful consistency. So there's a scripture that reminds us, above all, before all, do this, get wisdom. And that's Proverbs 4:7. So we don't need more information, not more tracking. We need more wisdom, and we need support. Wisdom looks like eating slowly, trusting your body, applying what you already know. Most of us get stuck in the consuming. Stop consuming. Even though you're watching and listening to my stuff, stop consuming and apply between podcasts, right? So we focus on that restoration, especially if you're living without a gallbladder. Your body is not broken. It simply needs support and rhythm and peace. And that's what we need to give it consistently over time. So if this episode gave you clarity, peace, or a gentle correction, please share it with somebody who is stuck in symptom mode. So healing is simpler than we've been taught, and wisdom makes the path much, much lighter. So if you're ready to step into wisdom, click the link in the bio and get the help you need. So until next time, focus on healing and happy digesting.